The fluorescent lights of the late-night diner buzzed overhead like distant insects, casting a harsh glow over the cracked vinyl booths and the half-empty coffee cups scattered across the counter. Jake sat alone at the end of the bar, nursing his third cup of black coffee, the bitter liquid doing little to steady the nervous flutter in his chest. It was 2:17 a.m., the witching hour when truckers and insomniacs alike sought refuge in greasy spoons like this one on the outskirts of town. He'd come here every night for the past week, not for the food, but for her. She worked the graveyard shift, wiping down tables with graceful efficiency, her movements too fluid, too precise for someone who'd supposedly grown up in a small Midwest town. Her name tag read Ilara, but the name felt borrowed, like a coat that didn't quite fit. Her skin had an iridescent sheen under the lights, subtle enough that most people dismissed it as bad lighting or too much highlighter. Her eyes. God, her eyes, were a deep violet that shifted to silver when she laughed, which wasn't often. But when she did, it was like stars aligning. Jake had been building up courage for days, stealing glances between bites of lukewarm pie, memorizing the way her silver-streaked hair fell across her shoulders. Tonight was the night. He couldn't explain why the pull was so strong. Maybe it was the loneliness that had settled in his bones since his divorce, or the way she seemed as out of place in this dusty diner as he felt in his own life. He waited until the rush died down, the last customer shuffling out into the parking lot, leaving only the hum of the old jukebox playing a forgotten country tune. Ilara was refilling sugar shakers behind the counter when Jake cleared his throat, his palms sweaty against the formica. "Ilara," he said, voice cracking slightly despite his best efforts. "Hey. I've been coming in here a lot lately. You probably noticed." She turned, those violet eyes locking onto his with an intensity that made his breath hitch. A small smile tugged at her lips, polite, distant, but with a spark of something unreadable beneath. "I have. Black coffee, apple pie, extra cinnamon." "You're predictable, Jake." He chuckled, rubbing the back of his neck. "Guilty. Listen, this might sound crazy, but would you like to go out sometime? With me? A real date. Dinner, maybe a walk by the lake. No pressure. Just, getting to know each other outside of fluorescent lights and greasy fries." The words hung in the air, heavier than he'd intended. He braced for the usual, polite rejection, a laugh, maybe an excuse about working nights. Instead, Ilara set the sugar shaker down with a soft clink, her expression shifting from mild amusement to something far more complex. Her head tilted slightly, as if listening to a frequency only she could hear. The air around her seemed to shimmer faintly, like heat haze on pavement, though the diner was cool from the rattling AC unit. "You're asking me on a date," she said slowly, her voice carrying a melodic lilt that didn't quite match the flat Midwestern accent she usually affected. "A human custom. Sharing a meal, exchanging words, perhaps physical proximity with romantic intent." She paused, eyes narrowing as if weighing galaxies in her mind. "Fascinating. And unexpected." Jake blinked, heart pounding. "Yeah, well, I guess it is a bit old-fashioned. But I like you, Ilara. There's something about you that—" Before he could finish, she stepped around the counter, closer than she'd ever been during his late-night visits. The scent of her, ozone and wildflowers mixed with something metallic and ancient, washed over him. Her hand rose, not to touch him, but to hover near his cheek, fingers tracing the air as if mapping the contours of his face without contact. "You see me," she whispered, and for the first time her voice trembled with genuine emotion, vulnerability mixed with centuries of isolation. "Not the disguise. Not the mask I wear to blend into your world. You see the light beneath." His pulse thundered in his ears. What do you mean?" Ilara's form flickered, just for a heartbeat. Like static on an old television. Her skin brightened to a soft luminescence, veins of starlight pulsing beneath. The violet in her eyes expanded, swallowing the whites until they were pure cosmic voids dotted with pinpricks of light. She wasn't human. Not even close. Jake's coffee cup slipped from his fingers, clattering to the counter and spilling dark liquid across the surface, but he couldn't look away. "I am not from here," she said, the words flowing like liquid silver. "My name is not Alara. It is Lyriel, scout of the Ninth Vale, sent to observe your species during its critical transition. I have walked among you for 3 of your years, cataloging emotions, conflicts, the strange fire you call love. I was never meant to be seen. Never meant to be desired." Her voice cracked, raw with a longing that mirrored his own loneliness. "Yet here you are, a simple man with calloused hands and tired eyes, asking me to share a meal as if I were one of you. As if my presence on this planet didn't risk everything." Jake's mouth went dry. Fear should have flooded him, panic, disbelief, but instead a strange calm settled in, laced with awe. "An alien," he breathed. "You're an alien. And you've been serving me pie every night." A soft, broken laugh escaped her, like wind chimes in a storm. "Yes. And every night I watched you watch me, wondering why your gaze lingered when others slid past. Why you tipped extra and asked about my shifts. Why you made my exile feel less solitary." Tears, actual tears that glowed faintly blue, welled in her eyes. "I was trained to remain detached. To report data, not form attachments. But you asked me on a date, Jake. A date. Do you understand what that means for someone like me?" He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and when she didn't, his fingers brushed her hand. Her skin was warm, almost hot, humming with an energy that sent tingles up his arm. "It means I like you. The real you, whoever that is. The one who hums strange melodies when she thinks no one's listening. The one who stares at the stars through the diner window like they're calling her home. I don't care if you're from another planet. I want to know you." Lyriel's breath hitched, her luminescent form stabilizing as she fought to maintain the human facade. The diner around them felt smaller, the jukebox fading into background noise. "My response is not what you expect," she said, voice thick with emotion. "Because accepting would mean breaking every protocol. It would mean choosing this fragile, beautiful chaos of your world over the safety of observation. It would mean risking recall, erasure of these memories, punishment for contamination. Yet refusing feels like dying inside this borrowed body." She stepped even closer, until their foreheads nearly touched, her violet silver eyes searching his with desperate intensity. "If I say yes, Jake, there is no simple dinner by the lake. There will be truths that shatter your understanding of reality. Questions about why my people watch from the shadows. Dangers, my fleet could detect emotional entanglement and extract me. Or worse, decide your species needs adjustment. And you would be marked. Watched. Perhaps taken for study if they deem the connection too deep." Jake's heart raced, a mix of terror and exhilaration flooding his veins. The suspense hung thick in the air, the possibility of something vast and unknown unfolding right there in the dingy diner. He could walk away now, pay his tab, and pretend this was a hallucination from too much coffee. But her hand was still near his, trembling with the weight of her confession, and he realized he didn't want to. "Then say yes anyway," he whispered fiercely. "We'll figure it out. One night at a time. I'm not afraid of the stars, Lyriel. I'm afraid of never knowing what this could be." Tears slipped down her cheeks, leaving faint glowing trails that evaporated into sparkles. She laughed again, this time with genuine joy edged in sorrow. "You reckless human. Your species never ceases to amaze me, charging into the void with nothing but hope as a shield." Her fingers finally made contact, lacing through his with a gentleness that belied the power humming beneath her skin. "Yes. I will go on this date with you. But know this, my response changes everything. Tonight, I am no longer just an observer. I am choosing you, even if it means the stars themselves might come to claim me back. The jukebox clicked to a new song, a slow ballad that seemed almost too perfect for the moment. Outside, the parking lot lights flickered as if in response to her emotions, and Jake wondered if that was her doing or coincidence. He squeezed her hand, feeling the pulse of something alien and wonderful. "Tomorrow night, then. I'll pick you up after your shift. We'll drive somewhere quiet, away from the lights." Lyriel nodded, her smile radiant now, transforming her face into something ethereal and heartbreakingly beautiful. "Tomorrow. But Jake. There is one more truth I must share before you leave tonight." She leaned in, lips brushing his ear, voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper laced with suspense. "My people are already curious about the anomaly in my reports. The increased heart rate when you enter the diner. The way I linger at your table. They may send someone to investigate. So our date, it may not be as simple as pie and conversation. It could be the beginning of something that either saves both our worlds or tears them apart." She pulled back, eyes shimmering with a mix of fear and fierce determination. Jake felt the weight of her words settle over him like a cloak, the emotional intensity of falling for someone from beyond the stars, the suspense of knowing danger lurked in the shadows of their budding connection. Yet in that moment, with her hand in his and the promise of tomorrow hanging between them, none of it mattered as much as the spark that had ignited between a lonely trucker and an alien woman hiding in plain sight. As he paid his tab and headed for the door, glancing back one last time to see Lyriel watching him with stars in her eyes, Jake realized his ordinary life had just collided with the extraordinary. Her response had been nothing like he expected, raw, vulnerable, world-altering. And he couldn't wait to see what came next, even if the universe itself was listening.